Welcome to the Jeremiah Patterson Show, and thank you for joining me this Thursday. It is good to be back officially for the TJPS Evening News Show. Of course, this show now airs once a week, as I am primarily focusing on investigative journalism, of course, traveling the country through my Truth in Transit series, and of course, doing virtual investigative reports as well. So more of those are going to be coming out very soon. So stay tuned on the Jeremiah Patterson Show. Make sure that you're subscribed to my website, tjpsnews.com, as well as our YouTube channel, The Jeremiah Patterson Show, so you're not missing any news updates. It is good to be back officially. There is a lot of news that is happening right now in the world that is heavy, that is disheartening, that is gruesome and horrific, but we are here to cover it as well as to make sense of it all. So we're just going to jump right in here. You'll recall during the 2024 presidential election cycle, Donald Trump repeatedly distanced himself from the far-right authoritarian playbook, Project 2025. Every time he was asked about it, he was like, nah, I know nothing about this. Project 2025 in no way has any correlation to my campaign. And it was clear that he was directly tied to this, but he insisted again and again that he knew nothing about it. And for everyone that was paying close attention, you knew that he was lying, and also that the people behind this agenda were dangerous.
A new Trump administration must move quickly and decisively to turn the tables on the left by using the powers that have been delegated to the American state, the American government. This is the dragon smog's underbelly that lacks the scales that protect the belly. It is their Achilles heel. Because they never passed a constitutional amendment, they have to rely on the precedents and the paradigms. Their entire apparatus is exposed to our strategy.
Quote, their entire apparatus is exposed to our strategy, end quote. So this is a video obtained by ProPublica last year of Ross Vought. In the first Trump administration, he served as the acting director of the Office of Budget and Management, which is a very powerful government agency that's responsible for helping the president set policy, budgets, management, and also reviewing agency regulations. So he already had experience with the first Trump administration. He already had experience with Trump's team and working in the government. And so these speeches that he gave about, destroying the left and also their entire apparatus is exposed to our strategy. These speeches that he gave about eviscerating the government for dictatorial benefit were private. And all of them occurred around 2023 and 2024. He referred to Trump as, quote, a gift from God, and that we're going to save the country from a Marxist takeover. Their plan also included, of course, invoking Schedule F, which would fire nonpartisan government workers to restructure the federal workforce to the president's benefit. So now only loyalists would be in office, obeying his every word. Ross Vought also gleefully talked about the military being used against domestic protesters and also just giving away a whole lot more of their agenda as well.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down so that the EPA can't do all of the rules against our energy industry because they have no bandwidth financially to do so. We want to put them in trauma.
Quote, we want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want to put them in trauma, end quote. So that's the goal that they were seeking to achieve here. So that's 2023 and 2024. Project 2025 is public knowledge as of 2023 and gains more attention during the 2024 election cycle. And despite Trump incessantly denying any correlation, any connection to this agenda, Project ProPublica writes article after article, as well as various other news publications, exposing how Trump is in fact connected to Project 2025, and that this is indeed their plan in detail. Nevertheless, he still became president, in spite of those various warnings, and here we are. That's why for those who paid attention then, nothing that is happening now is surprising. Their plan was public, their private speeches were released, and research was free and still is then Research was free then, and it still is now. So now it is 2025 and we are under the second Trump presidency, and Ross Vought is now the confirmed director of the Office of Budget and Management, and they are wreaking havoc as they planned. They are causing trauma as they planned. You'll recall back in May, Donald Trump and Elon Musk had a public fight over social media. And while that gained much attention, it was a distraction. Because, of course, it was around that same time that Ross Vought was officially going to be able to make his move. He wasn't necessarily able to make his move because, per public reporting, Elon Musk effectively had celebrity status with Donald Trump. Elon Musk was doing all the wrecking and the firing of federal workers and completely just wreaking havoc across the federal government. Ross Vought did not want to do that. Ross Vought had a structured plan on how to do that. Ross Vought thought Elon Musk was sloppy and chaotic. And he also was infuriated by Elon Musk's close relationship with the president and the fact that they were being able to do all this stuff. Because he was, hey, co-author of Project 2025. He's the guy that wants to do the destruction, but in a more coordinated effort. And so, back in May, as Trump and Musk are having this public fight over social media, gaining huge attention, it was a major distraction. And so it was around that same time that Ross Vought was like, okay, finally, this is my chance. And so this is from The Guardian here. Ross Vought, key Project 2025 figure to continue Trump cuts after Musk exit. So this is him officially getting his leadership elevation here. He's already over, OMB, but, he wants Doge, so both of them. This is from Democracy Docket. Meet Russell Vought, the new face of the Doge agenda. See? You'll miss it if you're not paying attention. I always say eyes open, heads up, stay focused because, while there is a lot happening, you have to be able to cut through the noise and to focus on the most important things. Donald Trump is not the sole individual responsible for the implementation of this Project 2025. Not only is this an agenda 5 decades in the making, but it's also backed by a large group of people and institutions in conservative circles and on the far right. Trump is just a tool that they are using because this is an entire organized operation here. Do not be fooled or distracted and think it's just him. He's not capable, trust me. This is a wider, coordinated effort to annihilate the administrative state and dismantle every level of the U.S. government so that it effectively is unrepairable. That is their goal. That has been their goal for decades. And so last week, the federal government shut down. And no, it is not the Democrats' fault. When Republicans have the majority in both the House and the United States Senate, here's the actual reason. Democrats are demanding that the healthcare subsidies first put in place in 2021 and extended the following year be extended again. They also want to see the funding from the big evil law passed this summer reversed. You'll remember that it was that legislation that cut a seismic part of Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, and other essential government programs. While those effects are not all immediate, it's already being felt as rural hospitals and all kinds of organizations across the nation are closing down because they cannot afford to go on without federal funding. We'll be having special reporting on that in the coming weeks. So that's the Democrats' position in the shutdown. Republicans are arguing that no, those cuts are necessary in order to reduce the federal deficit. There's too much waste and fraud in the government. Little side note here, by the way, Republicans don't actually care about the deficit when they're the ones that keep raising it time and time again, consecutively. So their stance is BS, and they are the ones being theatrical about this, blaming the shutdown on the Democrats, when in fact they have the votes to end it. So Trump and Republicans just want the Democrats to vote for a continuing resolution to fund the government with no strings about healthcare or subsidies attached. with no strings about, healthcare subsidies attached. And so this would in effect do nothing because the problem would reemerge weeks later, shutting down the government again because the problem was never actually addressed in the first time. So when you see Mike Johnson and Republicans talk about, hey, there's nothing to negotiate here, they just want a continuing resolution passed so the government can reopen again, and this issue can just never get addressed. And so we get headlines like this. Millions of moms and young kids would lose WIC food assistance within 2 weeks amid shutdown. Delays spread to major airports across the country as the 7th day of government shutdown impacts travelers. Air traffic controller shortages amid shutdown lead to canceled flights, delays nationwide. The last two headlines, of course, are attributed to the tens of thousands of FAA workers, which include air traffic controllers, that are not receiving pay during this shutdown. This was from Forbes magazine the other day, earlier this week. Quote, overstressed. Air traffic controllers aren't fit for duty, says agency veteran, as FAA issues staffing triggers at 6 airports Tuesday. End quote. This veteran air traffic controller described the current situation right now as, quote, untenable, suggesting that more sick calls are coming as the shutdown continues. I will just say that while we're on this topic, you may recall that we've done multiple reports just this year on the existing issues at the FAA because of the various plane crashes that have taken place this year, as well as Elon Musk, along with Trump, firing thousands of employees, effectively gutting the agency, ensuring it does not function efficiently, and that aviation in this country is forever in danger. So before we even got here, the new FAA administrator this summer, under this administration, said, yeah, not only are we not in a good position right now, but also morale is just extremely low. What did Russ Vought say that he wanted to do again? Quote, we want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want to put them in trauma. Well, since the government has shut down, they want to do that again on top of everything else that federal workers have already experienced and suffered and gone through hell about. They have threatened to fire them during the shutdown. And, hey, this may be illegal. You say, well, that's just a suggestion for the Trump administration, of course, because they're just going to do it anyway and then prepare for a court battle that they will not listen to, as we have so learned with this administration. I mean, this is where we are as a country. The man at the heart of this plan is Russ Vought. Unions representing federal workers, of course, have sued, saying that what the Trump administration and OMB are trying to do is illegal. A federal judge who blocked Trump from doing mass firings over the summer will hear this new case. She has given the administration until this Friday, October 10th, to respond and address to any, quote, currently planned or in progress firings. So that is an ongoing matter right now. While we watched that case, it was on Tuesday this week that Russell Vought thought that it would be fun to put this out there. A memo stating that the current federal workers not receiving paychecks are not entitled to back pay when the government reopens. Yeah, so if you're not getting paid right now, and when the government reopens, even though you're technically entitled to back pay under law, we're just not going to adhere to that at all. Reportedly, if the White House acts on this memo, it would deny back pay to as many as 750,000 federal employees after the shutdown. It's nearly 1 million people. We got to traumatize them, right? In addition to this memo, OMB has deleted a reference to a 2019 law guaranteeing back pay to furloughed federal workers from shutdown guidance. This new document now states that only accepted employees forced to work without pay are guaranteed back pay at the conclusion of a lapse in appropriations. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine did not mince words in his response to this new guidance. Quote, if OMB chooses thuggish intimidation tactics over following the law, it better be prepared to face the American people in court. End quote. So again, this is where we are as a country. In this current iteration of the United States, this is where we are. Not only are they succeeding in traumatizing federal workers, because think about the thousands of people that have taken buyouts and have done early retirements, have left the federal government entirely and probably will never come back. The civil servants, the bureaucrats, the nonpartisan bureaucrats that served in the United States federal government. The goal is to make serving in the federal government so uninhabitable, so terrible, so traumatizing that the only people that will work under this federal government, the only people that will work for this administration will be loyalists. They will be loyal only to Donald Trump. They will not be loyal to the Constitution. They will not be loyal to federal guidelines and laws. They will be loyal only to Donald Trump. Even if what they're being asked to do is illegal, even if what they're being asked to do is partisan. I mean, think about the emails, for example, right? The emails to federal employees changed. First, it was a nonpartisan email about the shutdown. Then it became, the reason why the government is shut down is because it's the Democrats. This is where we are. They are succeeding in restructuring and eviscerating the federal government, just as they told us they would do. And using the pretext of a shutdown to do it is just, on their part, advancing the plan even further. And so Russ Vought has already gone further in doing other things like stopping $8 billion in climate funding. He called it, quote, the Green New Scam. This move also effectively, affects projects in 16 states, most of which are led by Democrats. He also unilaterally paused $18 billion in approved infrastructure funding for 2 major transportation projects, primarily in New York City, where the state delegation includes Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and also House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. So again, this is their goal. Go after the Democrats, go after the left, because what do they say again? Their entire strategy is exposed to our apparatus. Their entire apparatus is exposed to our strategy, something like that. But it's the same thing. That's what they want to do. They want to traumatize the federal workers. They want to make working for the federal government so untenable, so disastrous, so sloppy and shambolic that you will never in your life become a civil servant for the United States federal government again. To make it to whereas it is only a place where you have loyalists, to make it to whereas only people who want to work for the president will just be yes men, and they will be chaotic and they will be incompetent. That's what they're betting on here. That's what they're succeeding in doing. Yes, resistance is a path to defeating authoritarianism, but we need to be real here about the threat. We need to be real here about what is going on. I already did a show on the Heritage Foundation and how they are succeeding with Trump in a way that they did not succeed with Reagan, with Project 2025 and eviscerating the federal government. But we need to talk about the other key actors here and the danger that they present to our country and to our society, and how that is also a problem here. Because the problem is not solely Donald J. Trump. This is an entire organized, coordinated operation here. The plan did not get written in 2023. The plan did not get written then when they were, making Project 2025. This is a plan that is decades in the making, going further back, even to the Powell memo. This has always been the conservative plan. This has always been the plan of the far right. To undo every single thing that the left has done, but also to destroy the government so much, to destroy our democratic system of checks and balances so much that if they allow elections in the next 4 years, hell, if they allow elections next year in 2026, that it will be unrepairable. The damage will be so severe, so inconceivably irreparable and also just so annihilated that it can't be fixed. That's their goal here. If you seriously think that elections are going to bring us out of this, you need to wake up. Because if you're waiting till 2026 and you're doing nothing now to resist, you're part of the problem. I mean, the goal right now, the strategy right now in the country has to be resistance. It has to be organized, coordinated resistance. It is either that or conform, because things are getting worse. They are using the military to go after citizens. We have ICE shooting at people. We have little kids being, ripped from apartment buildings. We have the National Guard being deployed to American cities. We have the cancellations of elections. And we have the threat of the cancellations and also the fact that the 2026 elections, if we get them, may not be so, should I say, full of integrity because of the people that are going to be appointed to oversee those elections. Oh, by the way, did I mention that one of them, Heather Honey, was of course part of the effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election in favor of Donald Trump. This is where we are as a country. Things are only going to exacerbate, but the resistance movement has to stay strong and it has to gain more ground. Or this is not going to be fixed at all. Resist. Eyes open, heads up, stay focused.